In this video, we are going to talk about strings in Python. We are on the subject of collections and data structures, and we have already looked at list, dictionary, and sets and tuples. Strings is also a data. Strings is also a collection. Earlier, I discussed a little bit about string when we were discussing about data types like integer, float. But in this video, we'll look at string from the perspective of a collection, and we'll try to see what are some of the similarities of strings when it comes to lists, and at the same time what are the different operations or methods that we can apply on strings in Python. Okay, so let us get started. Like if we want to have a string, let us just say fruit is equal to apple. A string can be defined by uh, double quotes or single quote. You can also have it like this, or you can call it like this. Both are acceptable ways. There's also another way, which is we can also have strings, multi-line strings. So we can have it this way. We can say hello, this is a multi-line string, and this is the second line. Okay, so these are some of the ways in which we can have strings in Python. There's one more way which is called as formatted string, but we will see that in a while. Okay, and you can see here this break is being considered as a new line. You can see /n. So /n in Python denotes a new line. In fact, we can also have multi-line strings without having this triple inverted commas. So we can write a string something like this. We can say address is equal to, and we can say second street, and then /n, and we can say main road, and we can say /n, and we can say Bangalore. Okay, something like this. And then if we look at what is address, you will see we are getting this /n here, but if you do a print on this, then you will see how it is actually printed with the new lines being put. Okay, so this is some of the basics of declaring string as a variable in Python. But here I think I misspelled it. Okay, and in this video we will see more about some of the methods that we can apply on strings. So you already know there is a way to get all the possible methods of any object in Python. So let me do that. Let me put fruit here, and let me go and print this. Okay, and you will see there are so many different methods here, and some of these are pretty intuitive. If you look at them, you will be able to figure out what is the meaning. So we are going to explore most of these in this video, and at the same time few other things. So let us get started. So let us start with capitalize. So like capitalize, it will capitalize any string. So if I have fruit, you see fruit, and if I do a fruit dot capitalize, okay, sorry, it's a function method, so I need to use this. So you can see the first letter of this fruit has been capitalized. And there is case fold. Case fold is not very important. It is mostly used for those languages where the accent, there are certain accents, like if you notice German or some other languages, so it has a more aggressive way of changing the case, so we can skip this one. And we have center. So center is used usually for formatting. So if I do dot center, and if I give maybe some characters like 15, so what it is going to do is it is going to pad the character such that there is 15, it becomes a 15 length character. And if I do a length of fruit here, okay, I'm getting 5. I can maybe assign this here. Okay, and then if you do, you see the fruit which was of only 5 characters has become 15 character long. And you see I'm applying length, and this is very similar to how we apply length in a list. And you will also appreciate that a string is very much like a list. Actually, we can consider this apple uh, as a list of A, P, P, L, and E. And most of the things that we do with list will also apply with strings. In list, if you remember, we also had something called as count. So here we have count. So let us try that. And let me do this fruit dot count, and I'm going to say A. Okay, and you see, let me just make fruit as fruit. Let me bring it here and say fruit, and you see if I'm counting how many times A has occurred, it says fruit A in this string has occurred 1 time. And I can also say fruit is apple is a great fruit. And now if I do a count, it says A has come 3 times. Why? Because A, and A. Okay, 3 times. So this is again very similar to how we use count in a list. The next is encode. Again, encode is something we can skip. Usually encode is used to convert a string to bytes. Okay, and generally you will not find much application of this, so I'm skipping this one. Let us do ends with. So ends with is usually used to check whether a string is ending with a certain character. So we can say fruit, And if you see what is the value of fruit, the string is apple is a great fruit. Let me do fruit dot ends with, and if I say it, okay, it gives me true because this string is ending with it, right? We can also say uit, it's also ending with uit, so we can also write it this way, or we can say ending with fruit. And usually for text processing, this comes in very handy when we want to check if a string is ending with a certain character. If we know what is the character, we can use to check whether it is ending with that character, so that we know that we have the complete text. If it is not ending with the given character, we will usually understand that the text is incomplete or something. So this comes in quite handy. Okay, the next one is expand tabs. Let us try that. So just like we saw earlier, a new line is a indication that we need to insert new line. For example, hello, how are you? And if I put one more new line, I am good. Okay, so and if we print this, let me say this is x, and let me print x, you'll see that this you're seeing that this slash n comes as a new line. Similarly, we also have few other characters that have special meanings. For example, slash t. Slash t stands for tab, and tab usually has a meaning of four spaces. Four spaces are usually considered as a tab. Earlier when we were talking about indentation in Python and importance of indentation, there also we had mentioned there also I had mentioned about tab. So you see this is tab. Okay, and if we do expand tabs on this, x dot expand tabs, okay, you see, if you look at x here, if you just look at x, and if I remove print x, you see there is slash tab slash t, and if I do expand tabs, that slash t gets replaced with four spaces. Otherwise, usually what happens, if you print you will see it, but in the raw format it comes as slash t. But if you use expand tabs, it will expand to you again. Sometimes this can come in handy. Let us go and check ends with find. So find is also very important. If you want to find a certain string and index of certain character in a string, so let me have x, and let me say x dot find, and let me say r. Okay, so it says r is coming at 11th position. Okay, let us see x 11, see a, and if you do x 12 is r, and if I do x 13 is e. So what it says, what it finds is where is this character starting in this string, that it gives the starting index. And you see I'm indexing it just like how I would index a list. So if I have, say for example, fruit, okay, fruit, and if I do fruit of 0, I will get a, because I told you this actually behaves like a list. 0 is a, and if I do -1, it will behave, it will give me t, and if I do maybe -3 till end, it will give me uit, last three characters. So this is actually a list, and I will also convert it to a list, and I will show you. The next thing, the next method is format. So I'm skipping format. I will discuss format in a while. Let us move ahead and talk about index. So index is again very similar to, so let me write down format here. I want to discuss this in a little bit more detail. This is more important. Okay. And we have index. Okay. So let us look at index. Let me copy this and bring it down here. You already know about index. Index is gives you the index of a certain character. So if I come and try to find out, say for example, fruit dot index, and if I want to find out a, it says substring not found. If I say a, then it will give me 0, because a is at 0th index in fruit. Okay, again try it out, very simple. And then we have format map. I will we'll discuss this later. Index, and then we have a few characters here, like is alpha num, is alpha, is ASCII, is decimal, is digit, is identifier, is lower, is numeric, is printable, is a space, is title, is upper. Okay, so let me take this much and let me put it here. All of these are actually checking a certain string to see whether they are if they are a number, or if they are alphabetic character, or if they are a ASCII code, or if they are a decimal or a digit, right? So for example, if I have a string, like for example, if I say x is 5 4, okay, and if I do f x dot is alpha num, and it's a method, I have to use the brackets, it says true because it is alphanumeric. Okay, if I say 4a, it says it is true because it is alphanumeric. But if instead of 4a, if I say, if I just write star, and then I say x dot is alphanumeric, Okay, so then it says false because star is not alphanumeric. So if you want to check whether your string is consisting of only alphabets and numbers, then you can use this. Okay, and then we have is alpha. Say for example, if I have x is equal to 4, and then if I say x dot is alpha, it is going to give me false. Okay, because this is not alpha. And is if but if we do is numeric, okay, x dot is numeric, this is going this is going to give me this is going to give me true because 4 is a numerical character, which also means that x can be typecasted into an integer. We can also do int of x, we will get 4, and this is going to be an integer. I hope you are already familiar with this. So here is digit and is numeric, both are quite similar to each other except for minor differences. For example, some of the numbers which is in some other language is recognized by is numeric, but is digit might not recognize. Or if you have some kind of a latex text where you have x squared or 1 upon 3, 1 upon 4. So is numeric usually recognizes that, but is digit won't recognize that. So you can try out both of them and see which one is fitting your use case. But in terms of numbers being represented in string, is digit and is numeric, both are able to identify that and they will give you a boolean of true. Okay. And then we have is identifier. So is identifier is used to check whether a certain string is a valid Python identifier. So if you remember when we were talking about naming conventions in Python, and there are certain rules to naming a variable or naming a function or naming a class. And for example, I told you the rule is that a variable can contain digits, numbers, or underscore, and it should start with underscore or a digit. It cannot start with a number. Something, there are certain rules like that. So if you have a string and you want to check whether that is a valid Python identifier, then you can use is identifier. So for example, if I have x is equal to hello, and if I do x dot is identifier, it gives me true. And if I say hello underscore, it says true. But if I say hello underscore star, then it gives me false, because star cannot be used to name anything in Python, or a variable name or any function name. And if I have underscore, this is true. But if I maybe give a 4 here, it will say it is false, because any Python identifier cannot start with a digit. But it can contain a digit. Okay, that is true. So that is the purpose of using is identifier. And then we have is lower. And is lower is just to check whether, say for example, if I have x is equal to hello, it says x dot is lower, whether it is in lower case or not. And if I make it h, then it says false. Okay, so is lower checks whether a character, whether a text is in completely in lowercase or not. And we have is printable, is space, is title, and is upper. So is title and is upper are again very similar. Something is in title case or not. So if I say x dot hello, and if I say x dot is title, it says true because it is in title case, the first character is capital. And similarly we can have, what was the other one, is title, and is upper, so that is for checking whether something is in uppercase or not. So if I write hello and if I say is upper, it says true. And if I have any small case character, then it is going to give me false. And then we have something called as is a space. So it is going to check whether the string contains is of space or not. So if I say like this, x is an empty string with a space, and we say x dot is a space, it says it is true. But if maybe if I give a slash n, then also it gives true. If I give a slash t, then also it gives true. But after slash t, if I write hello, then it gives me false because this is not completely space. So that is a need for all of these characters. And we did not discuss is printable and is ASCII. Let us discuss about is printable. So is printable is used to check whether all the characters in the string are printable or not. What does it printable mean? For example, slash t. This is not printable. When you print anything that contains slash t, the letter slash t is not printed. It gets transformed to 4 spaces. Or if you have slash n, then it gets transformed to a new line. So if we have this character, and if we say x dot is printable, okay, it is going to give me false. But instead of this slash t, if I remove it, then it becomes true. Or if I add slash n, then it becomes also false. So it contains characters that are not printable, then in that case is printable will give me a false. And finally we have is ASCII. So is ASCII is to check whether the character is in ASCII format or not. All the elements of the given string belong to the ASCII character set or not. And you can read about ASCII. It is some American standard code of information exchange. So it contains a certain set of characters. For example, all the alphanumerics, all the some of the special characters, and all the numbers. And if your string is within those then it is ASCII character. Otherwise, if you are using certain special symbols, for example a rupee symbol or a smiley or some kind of a emoji, then those are not ASCII characters. So if you want to check whether your entire string is within ASCII character set, then you can use is ASCII, and you can read about ASCII um, separately. So but I'll give you one example. Let me say x is apple, and if I say x dot is ASCII, it is going to give me true. But sorry, it is going to give me true. But if I have some special characters in apple, for example, let me say, okay, suppose I have this as hello, and then if I do x dot is ASCII, it is going to give me false, because this emoji or this smiley face is not belonging to the ASCII character set. So this is all about these methods which are starting with is alpha num, is alpha, is ASCII. Okay, you can check these, and let us go back and see what other methods are there for strings. Okay, so we discussed format, alpha num is digit, is upper. Okay, we have discussed till here, and then we have to join, we have to discuss these join and these. Okay, so let me take till here, and then let us explore these. Okay, let us talk about join. So what is join? Join is used to convert a list to a string. For example, if I have hello and if I have how are you, these are two elements in a string, and if I want to join them, then I can use, if I want to join them and make them as a continuous string, then I can use join. So you can see here I can do, and the syntax is that I want to give what is the delimiter, or what is through what I want to join them. Say for example, if I give here a space and then I say dot join. Okay, you see what happened? Hello and how are you are joined by one space. Instead of space, if I give here some percentage sign, so then hello and how are you are joined by using this percentage signs. So this is a very common operation that you are going to do when you are splitting a string, or you are bringing together split string. So if you are discussing about join, let us also discuss about split. So what happens if I have, say for example, a string like I like apples. Okay, and this is a statement. This is a string that I'm storing in x, and if I do x dot split, okay, if I do x dot split, I told you strings behave like lists. So if you want to explicitly convert a string to a list, you can say x dot split. Okay, and if I do x dot split, I like apples will become into I like apples as a string will get converted to a list, you see. And by default it takes space here. By default it takes a space, but if you want, if you have some special kind of a delimiter, then you can use that also. For example, if I have this, if I have maybe x as a set of numbers 45 comma 34 comma 56 comma 89. Okay, and I want to convert this to sorry, if this is a string that I have, I want to convert it to a list. Then if I do x dot split, okay, nothing is going to happen. All of this got together into one string, because it is usual, it will by default take a space as a delimiter, but here we can specify what delimiter we want. So here for example, I want a delimiter as comma, which means it will separate this string by comma. Now if I do, you see, I got four different elements in a list. All of them are separated, and they got separated by comma. Okay, and instead of comma, if we use some other character, for example here, if we have say double comma here. Okay, and then if we split it, this double comma here, one empty space is there, that empty space, so here there is nothing between these two commas, so an empty string got added. Okay, and that is, instead of comma, if you have some other character, if you have maybe a star, then that will not get limited, because the delimiter here specified is comma alone. Okay, so that is about join. And split also I discussed. Then let me talk about ljust and lstrip. Okay, so ljust will justify a string, or you can say it aligns a string by a given set of characters. Say for example, if I have x is equal to apple, and if I say x dot ljust, and if I say 10, so what it is going to do, it is going to add some characters to right side, to the left side of apple, so that it is justified. So if you see here, it is justified to the left. Sorry, it will add characters so that it is justified to the left, so it will add characters to the right side. So now if I say x, if I print x, okay, it is still x. I want to assign it back to x. Okay, so you see, total length of x is now going to be 10. Similarly, I think you will also have rjust. Let me see if rjust is also method. You can say x dot r are just, and you can say maybe 12, and it will add characters to left hand side of the string so that it is right justified, and the total length of the string will become 12. I think you also have an option to add which character you want instead of space. So by default it will be space, but suppose you want star, then you can add it like this. Okay, so this is usually to make sure that alignment is proper, and you will all often see these kind of things in maybe books, or to maintain a certain length of a character. So this can come in quite handy. So we discussed join and l just, r just also. And let us talk about lower. So lower is just to convert any string to lowercase. So for example, if I have x is equal to apple, and if you do x dot lower, then it is going to convert it to lowercase. Okay, or if you have like this, and if you make it upper, it is going to convert everything to uppercase. And I think we also have title, is that, yeah, so you can also convert it to title case. So these are the things. Then we have else strip. So strip in string is usually to remove any extra space characters that are there in the beginning or in the end. So let us move ahead. Else strip. Okay, so I was talking about stripping. So x, if I write here as maybe apple, and then I give a space or two spaces or three spaces. Usually that happens when you're collecting data. Often extra spaces get included in the towards the end or towards the beginning, and that can cause problems. So if I do x dot strip, okay, it will remove any leading or leading space characters. Okay, so if you also have any kind of spaces in the beginning or in the end, it is going to get removed. So a variety of strip is l strip. I think it does left strip, so we can try it out. Let us say some space, and then we write apple, and then we do x dot l strip. Okay, so it will remove all the extra spaces towards the beginning of the character. Let me add some spaces towards the right also, and you see it did not remove anything from the right hand side. Similarly, if we do x dot r strip, it will remove any special characters. Okay, so it has removed any spaces on the right hand side, and left hand side is unaffected. So that is l strip and r strip. And then we have make, trans, and partition. Remove prefix, remove suffix, and replace. Let us try make, trans, and partition. So make, trans, and translate, they go hand in hand. Let us discuss that. Make, trans. Make, trans is used to create a mapping of characters, and then translate is used to apply that mapping to a string. So let us see this with example. Let me create a string. Let me say apple is the best fruit. Okay, and then I'm going to create a mapping. I'm going to say str dot make trans, and I'm going to say, sorry, I'm going to say a, and I'm going to say 2. Okay, and now if I do, sorry, this has to be a string. So I've created a mapping of a with 2, and then if I do x dot translate, and if I say, sorry, I need to save this. Let me create a mapping here. Okay, and then if I say x dot translate, and if I say mapping, okay, you see what has happened is a has gotten replaced with 2. A has gotten replaced with 2. If I say a and f, and if I say 2 and 7, so what will happen, a will get replaced with 2 and f will get replaced with 7. Let us try that out. You see, f got replaced with 7. So this is very often used when you want to replace a certain characters, or you want to usually using text processing. Sometimes make, trans, and translate, they are used. Okay, one more application of this is when you want to remove certain characters, or you want to delete certain, get rid of certain characters in your text. So what we usually do is we take this mapping, and if we say let it be empty string, and let this be empty string, and then we just say maybe b. Okay, b and t. So what we are saying is get rid of b and t and do nothing else. And let me create this mapping, and let me take x dot translate mapping. So you see, b and t have gotten removed. So this will come in handy when we are doing text processing. For now, just um, remember what is the use of make, trans, and translate. Let us go up and make partition and remove prefix, remove suffix. Let us talk about partition. Okay, so partition in string is used to again separate a text, just like how we did it in split, but this is slightly different. It is partitioning the text or partitioning the string based on the first occurrence of a delimiter of a character. Say for example, if I have, maybe if I write, let me take a string, let us say x is equal to apple dash pie, is my, okay, so if I do x dot partition, and if I give a hyphen here, it will split it based on this hyphen. Okay, and if I again have this hyphen, fruit, I like it. Okay, so here see, you see it is not splitting on based on this hyphen, it is only splitting based on the first occurrence of a character that you have provided. Then we have remove prefix, remove suffix, and replace. Okay, let me take that. Remove suffix and remove prefix and replace. So replace is very similar. Replace will just replace a certain character. You can come here and you can say x dot replace, and we can say that I want to replace hyphen with dollar sign. Okay, so wherever hyphen comes, it will replace this hyphen with a dollar sign, and this comes in very handy along with more advanced text cleaning techniques. So this replace function is used very often during text cleaning, especially during NLP projects when you're dealing with unstructured data and you have certain special characters which you want to remove. Usually what happens is if we have some special characters, we will replace them with empty strings. So in those situations, it is going to be very useful. And we will see a lot of examples of text cleaning when we deal with text data. For now, just keep in mind what does this replace do. Then let us talk about remove prefix and remove suffix. So like the name suggests, remove prefix. What this is going to do is it is going to remove prefix from certain characters. Say for example, if I am saying um, unhappy, okay, and if I say remove prefix and then I say the prefix, sorry, the prefix here is un. So it is going to remove this un from here and it is going to give me the word. And similarly, we have remove suffix. So if you, sorry, so if you have certain words like godly, okay, so here there is a suffix of ly. So if we put here remove suffix and say ly, it is going to remove those suffix from the string and it can give you the clean text. So this is again used sometimes for text cleaning processes. So one application of this remove prefix or remove suffix might be when you're trying to take some information from a user and you are expecting that to have some prefix or some suffix. For example, if you're taking a name for a person, if someone writes Mr. or Mrs. or doctor or say master, Mr. something like that. So you can before taking that input and putting it into your variable name, you can run this remove prefix option here. For example, if I say name, I'm taking input from the user. Say I'm saying enter your name, okay, and someone enters the name as Mr. something or Mrs. something, but I don't want to save that. So what I can do here, I can say remove prefix, and I can say remove prefix of Mr. and then I can print the name. Okay, so if I say Mr. Ramesh, you can see Mr. is not being printed, only Ramesh is being printed. Or if I write here doctor, and here if I say Dr. Suresh, okay, here it is printing Dr. Suresh because I did not run the cell. Now if I do Dr. Suresh, you can see the doctor prefix is removed and we are getting only Suresh here. So this is the requirement for remove prefix and remove suffix. It can be done in other ways also, but there is a method in Python which can sometimes be useful. Okay, and so I think we have discussed all this. Let us go back to the list of methods in string that we were discussing. Let me bring all of that again here. And so we have discussed till partition, remove suffix, replace. Okay, and then we have this many methods remaining. Let us try to see this. Okay, split we have already seen. R strip and R split, R strip we have already seen. Okay, R partition, R split, I'm leaving it, or R just, all these things I think are pretty self-explanatory. You can explore them on your own. I have explained what is find, what is index, what is just, what is partition, what is split, what is a strip. So split also I've shown you. And split lines, let us discuss. Starts with is same as ends with. All these things I'm not going to explain, just try it out on yours, on your own, and see what they do. Okay, so for example, what is r find, r index, and strip. Swap case, again, it is going to do from lower to upper, things like that. Title I've shown you, translate I've shown you, upper I've shown you. Z fill is interesting. Let us look at Z fill. Let us let us talk about Z fill. And did I miss anything here? Split line. Okay, let us also talk about split lines. Split lines and R partition. Okay, I think that's all. Okay, few of the things I'm leaving it to you for you to explore and just learn. Otherwise, when we are doing some examples, at that point I will show you when in the practice video. Okay. So let us talk about Z fill. So what does Z fill do? Again, it will fill the characters. Mm, let me say, for example, let us say x is equal to apple. Then let me say x dot Z fill, and let me say 15. Okay, so it is going to fill these this to 15 characters, and it is adding 0 in the beginning. So where is the application of zfill? Usually it is used with numbers, so that when you are storing something um, sufficient for a certain length, and if you have, maybe if you want to have a 5 character 5 digit number, but if your number is only 15, so for example, if I just say 12, and if I do z fill, and if I do 5, you see it makes it as a 5 digit number. Okay, and then you can maybe convert it to, if you convert it to integer, of course it will be 12. But if you're storing something as a digit or a number, and you want it to be of a certain length, then you can use zfill. Okay, now let us talk about split lines. So split lines is same as a split, except that it is going to split the character into different lines. Say for example, if I take x is equal to hello slash how are you, and then slash n, I am doing good. Okay, and if you take x and if you do split lines, okay, by default it will take this slash n as a delimiter, and it will give you convert this as if they are in every element of the list will be as if it is of a different line. So that is split lines. And here you have something called as keep ends is equal to true. If you give keep ends is equal to true, it is going to keep this new line character. At the same time, it is also going to split it. Okay, so that is what split line does. It is very similar to split. And so I think that is all we had to discuss, except format, which we are going to discuss in a while. Let me take one of these examples here just to show you. Let me take R, just I have shown you R index. Let me take R index or R find. Let us discuss these two, and remaining I will leave for you. Okay. So earlier I showed you find, right? So what was happening in find? Let us go back and look at find. It was giving me the starting character of whatever we wanted. Okay. Where is X? Let me see here. X. Okay. Let us take a fresh example. Let me take X here as I am in Kolkata and I am enjoying. Okay, and if I take x and if I say find, and if I say am, what is it supposed to give me? It will give me 0 1 and 2. Okay, it is giving me 2 because am is starting at second character. And also keep in mind that it is giving me the first occurrence. It is not considering this am. This is also something you have seen earlier when we were discussing about remove in list. Okay, so this is giving me the starting of this character. But if I do r find, you see what happens. It will give me where it is ending, which it is giving me the ending of am, but it is taking the last occurrence of it. So when is the last occurrence of am and where it is ending? So it is going to the right hand side after finding am, and this one is at the left hand side of finding am, and this finds the first occurrence and this finds the last occurrence. That is the difference between r find. Similarly, if I look at r index, x dot r index, and if I say and, okay, see what it is giving me. It is giving me 16. So if I give go 16, it is showing me um, 16 and x 17 an and x 18 is and. So it is also giving me, it is finding the index of what I'm asking for. So keep in mind that our index will return the starting of whatever I'm searching for, and it will consider the last occurrence of it. Say for example, here I have and, let me have one more and here. Okay, so if I come and if I look at and, it is giving me the starting occurrence of this and. Okay, and not the first one. So in that way, it is very similar to r find. What is r find doing? It is finding the last occurrence of whatever I'm searching for, and it is giving me where that occurrence is ending, right? And r index is finding the index of whatever I'm searching for. Again, it is looking for the last occurrence, but it is giving me the beginning of what I looked for. There is very small minor difference, is that if you do r find for something that does not exist, Again, these are very niche things, you will most often not use it. So if you're finding it confusing, you can feel free to skip it, and when you require it, you can come back and revise it. But since we are on the topic, I'll just go through with it. R find, and if I say maybe um, t, okay, so you see it is giving me -1, it is not throwing any error, it is giving me -1, which means it was not able to find t. But if I do r index, x dot r index, and if I say t, sorry, okay, it will give me a value error because it was not able to find it. So there is also one minor difference of this giving an error when you are trying to look for a substring which does not exist, but this will give you a -1. Other than that, they are quite similar, and you can get usage of one with the other. If you want to do r find, you can do it using r index, or you can kind of reverse it. So with this, I think I've discussed all the different attributes except for format. So let us come to format, and this is very, very interesting. And this is also very interesting because there are different ways in which formatted strings. So actually, what I want to discuss is formatted strings. Okay, formatted strings are very useful, and they have evolved a lot with different versions of Python. So the latest version of Python, the way formatted strings are written, they are very, very nice. But in the previous versions, there was a slightly different way of using formatted strings. So I'll show you what is the latest version. At the same time, I'll also show you what was the last most popular one, which is not used anymore, so that if you are reading someone else's code which is written in Python 2 or something, you will be able to read it at least. Okay, and let us get started. So formatted strings are usually used when we want to have a part of a string using some other variable. For example, if I say name is Suresh, and then I want to say, depending on this name, I want to have a greeting. For example, if I say greeting, I want to say hello, and I want to have Suresh here and say hello Suresh, how are you? Okay, but I want this Suresh to change depending on what the name is. Okay, say for example, if I make it Mahesh, but here this Suresh is hard coded and it is not going to dynamically change. So what I want to do is I want to have a reference of this name inside this string, and that can be done using formatted string. So in Python, the latest version of Python, the formatted strings are written in this way. You add a f in the beginning. If you add a f in the beginning, then this becomes a formatted string. And once you have formatted string, you can use this syntax where you can have a curly braces inside, and you can reference this variable. You can reference this variable inside. So what happens, whatever value is there in this name, the same value will come and sit here. Okay, so now this becomes very dynamic. You see, it says hello Mahesh, how are you? If I change it to Ramesh, it will say hello Ramesh, how are you? So this is formatted string in Python, and you can add as many as you want. For example, how are you? Here we can also add some other maybe city, and we can say Hyderabad. Okay, how are you? And we can say how was, and then I can add here city. So depending on what the city and what is the name, automatically this greeting will be put into place. So you can say it says how was your journey from Hyderabad. If we change Ramesh to um, Mohan, and then let Mohan come from Delhi, so it automatically becomes hello Mohan, how are you? How was your journey from Delhi? So these are this is called as formatted strings. Okay. Now earlier there is another syntax which is old syntax which is not used anymore, but I'll just show you. So the earlier syntax also used to be you use f string, and this was usually in Python 2, but now also it is applicable. It says hello. We don't use f here. Hello. Let me take this greeting only. Let me take this sentence here. Okay, and instead of writing name here, we just put an empty brace here, and then here we go and say format. We remove this f from here, format, and I say Mahesh, and if I say Delhi. So this is also one way of writing where you have empty braces. You don't write an f here, you write a simple string, but you add braces here, curly braces here, and then you write format, dot format, and then you add uh, the variable names. So if you have two variables, if you have two braces, then you have to add two variables. So this was slightly cumbersome because you need to keep track of the order in which you have used, and in the end you want to add those variables by using this format method. But if you see the first one that I showed you, which is the recent one, this is much more convenient because the variable name is there in the syntax itself. So while writing, you don't have to keep track of which variable is where. So these are the two common ways. Before this, there were some other ways also where percentage sign was used to refer to formatted strings, but that was quite old. It is less likely that you will come across that, so I'm not going to discuss that. These two methods are very common which you will come across, and in terms of usage, I will recommend always use this one, as this is more readable, and this is also the recent syntax of using formatted strings. Before we finish the lecture, I want to point out a few more things. I've been saying that strings are very similar to lists, and you saw that we can convert string to list and list to string. But there are few more things that you need to keep in mind. And this is also something that I've mentioned earlier. Whenever I say immutable, I have also mentioned strings. For example, when I was talking about dictionary, I said that the keys in the dictionary are non-mutable objects. For example, numbers or tuple or string. Okay, so numbers are also immutable and tuples are also immutable. At the same time, I said string, that means strings are also immutable. And yes, strings are immutable. Let us try that out. If we say apple and if you say x of 0, you can get a, fine. But if you want to assign x of 0 to maybe g, that doesn't happen because string object does not support item assignment. This is the same error that we got when we were trying to mutate a tuple. Okay, so strings are immutable. This is something that you need to keep in mind. And whenever we talk about immutable objects in Python, whenever we are trying to refer, for example, when we talked about sets, I said items in a set have to be immutable. So there also I mentioned that it can have numbers, it can be tuples, or it can be strings. So numbers, tuples, and strings, these are immutable objects in Python. And uh, and one more thing is about comparison of strings. For example, you can have comparison. For example, if you have fruit 1 and if you have fruit 2, and you say fruit 2 is banana, then you can also equate them. You can say fruit 1 and you can check whether they are equal or not, and it will give you a boolean which is false. Okay, but if fruit 2 is apple, then it will give you true. So you can also compare, and you can also have we can also use greater than or smaller than sign to compare the strings, although that is not used very often, but it is based on the Unicode characters. So I don't want to get much into the Unicode values of each character, but just keep in mind that every character has a Unicode value. For example, so if you want to check the Unicode value of any character in Python, you can use this odd function that will tell you what is the Unicode value. I don't think this is going to be very useful to you in any near future, so feel free to skip this. But again, since I'm explaining this, I'll go through with it. So you can see that odd of a, or the Unicode value for a is 97, and if I check for b, that is going to be 98, and if you check for capital A, it is going to be 65. So every character is going to have a Unicode value, and when you are doing any kind of comparison, these Unicode values will be checked. Again, then if you take A, the value of A in Unicode is 97, and for B it is 98. So if you do A greater than B, okay, it will be taken as false because B has a greater value. B is 98 and A is 97. So this way, strings can also be used alongside comparison operators based on the Unicode value. And if the Unicode values are same, for example, A, and then I have B. So in this case, the longer character is treated to be the greater one. So if I change this to this, then I will get true. So strings can also be used for comparison, although this is not used much, and they are based on the Unicode values. I think that is all in terms of string. In the next video, we'll do some practice, and we'll try to solidify our understanding of strings. I hope you got a good summary and a comprehensive coverage of strings in Python. Let me rename this notebook. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video where we'll do some practice around strings. Thank you.